All rise. The Geauga County Court of Common Pleas is now in session. The Honorable David L. Fury presiding.
Please be seated. This is the case of the State of Ohio against Thomas M. Lane, case 12C58. Here this morning, on behalf of the State of Ohio, is Prosecutor James Flays. Mr. Flays, could you please introduce your table?
Thank you, Your Honor. To my left is Nicholas Burling, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor, Mark Bartolotta, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor, and from the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, Karen Colwell.
Thank you, and you can make it from where you sit. What? You can make it seated where you are, if you would.
One moment.
Take your time.
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son, you know, masturbates to memory of you.
All right. That's all your client has to say, Mr. Friedman.
Yes, Your Honor.
I will never forget our son Demetrius. On days that my back hurt, he would put my shoes on and tie them up for me. He would come home from school and he would fix us something to eat before his father came home and cooked us dinner. He was always there for me, and I for him. I will miss Demetrius, and I have enough memories to last me a lifetime. That child stole my baby's life, and he should never be able to do this to anyone ever again. Thank you.
You're really lucky there's so many police in this room right now. You can smile all you want. My family will move on, not you. You have ruined your life, not to mention Adam's. He even gave you a ride. Nick even gave you a ride from school. He was thinking about inviting you back to that table because he felt sorry for you. I feel sorry for you.
Things I was looking forward to, I will never get to see. My baby brother graduate high school, go to college, graduate college, get married, have children. I will never be an aunt, and my children will never know their uncle. I could go on and on about how many things the shooter has taken away from us, but the most important thing is he took away the life of not only my only brother, my parents' only son, but the lives of 2 other boys as well. He took the lives of 3 young men who were doing what they were supposed to do, go to school.
After today, I refuse to give him even a second of my thoughts. He is repulsive. We don't speak his name, and we never will. He will be forgotten as he rots in prison. And I will be glad knowing his existence every day, every minute, every breath is controlled by rules, and that he is away from society, locked up in a cage like the animal he is.
That was supposed to be closure for the victims' families. The Chardon High School shooter T.J. Lane made it far less than that by wearing a shirt scrawled with the word killer. Then, when asked to give a statement, Lane threw up his middle finger and cursed the families. Lane was given 3 life sentences with no parole. News Channel 5's Paul Kiska was at the courthouse and joins us now live.
Paul, a very emotional day, not only for the victims' families, but also for Lane's family. His sister apologized for her brother's actions.
And Leanne, T.J. Lane's sister said the actions of T.J. Lane, what he did on the day of the shooting spree and what he did in the courtroom today, is not the person she grew up with. T.J. Lane made a vulgar gesture and comment to the victims' families in court, all while wearing a T-shirt with the word killer on it. Lane smiled, smirked, and squirmed in his seat as Judge David Fury gave him 3 life sentences without parole. Lane smirked again when Judge Fury said Lane was not provoked.
First, the defendant's conduct was without any provocation.
After court, prosecutors finally hinted at a potential motive.
We have a theory on the motive. There is no hard facts on that, but we're going to discuss that with the victims' families before we release that information to the media.
I'm Sadie Lane, TJ's sister. The brother in the courtroom and that did this was not the brother I knew. I was not only a victim that day, but I also lost my brother. But I want to offer my deepest sympathy to all the victims' families and anyone involved.
TJ Lane's sister was in the cafeteria during the shooting spree. She read a statement after court.
I heard the gunshots and screams, ran for my life, ducked under tables, hid in the teacher's lounge, not knowing who the shooter was. Sitting in that room in shock, as we all comforted one another, I heard a police officer outside of the window say that they suspected TJ Lane. When those words hit me, I shook and cried and denied that all this could be true. It may be hard for some to understand, but I love my brother and hope that wherever the sentencing and life takes him in the future, that he can touch others' lives in a positive way from a point of view that only he can give.
But he will never get out of prison. TJ Lane plans to appeal and ask for a court-appointed attorney for that process. Live in Chardon tonight, Paul Kiska, News Channel 5.
And just let me ask you, how shocked were you when you saw T-shirt today?
I think everyone in that courtroom was shocked today. Yeah, that was something that was not expected and something that I hope no one ever has to experience again.
What were your thoughts? I mean, how appalled were you, I guess?
Well, I understand there was a lot going on in the courtroom. You know, TJ was sitting to my left, the family, the victims were to the right, prosecutors across the table, the media behind them with all the cameras, and then also the judge. Of course, most importantly, we have to address the issues of fact and law in the case. So there was a lot going on. It was, very draining, as all court hearings are. But this was especially emotional, and certainly with the families in there and being addressed the way they were, it was something that was very unusual.
Has this ever happened before in your history as an attorney? Any client acting like this in court?
Well, I've stood in a lot of emotional courts, but these specific acts and turning to the families of the deceased like that with a message similar to that, I've not seen that before.
With the shirt, was it ever crossed your mind, tell him, cover it up, take it off, put on a different shirt?
Well, sure. I mean, the second everyone in the courtroom saw it, I mean, that was the first thought that we all had. But as the judge said, TJ had his right to speak, and TJ spoke. That's what he chose to say. And if people could have changed it, they certainly would have.
There was some talk that the judge may not have seen it, the shirt. Do you think that's the case, that he didn't see anyone from where you were sitting?
Yeah, in dealing with Judge Fury over the past year, I thought he was a great judge through this case. I thought he was very professional. If he's saying that he didn't see it, I take him at his word. I have no reason to question that. And I later learned that some of the families in the back were unable to exactly read it. So that based, and also based upon what the court said, at the end, that they did not recognize the shirt when the prosecutor gave a statement, I certainly accept Judge Fury at his word.
Can you give us an insight of what, if you had any conversation with TJ afterwards, or did they just take him right away?
Sure, the sheriff's office hailed him away right away, so no one was able to have any discussions with him thereafter.
Okay. And where did they take him? Where is he now?
So I would expect that he went back to the Geauga Safety Center. He'll be there until he's transferred to the Lorraine Correctional Institute.
Okay. The prosecutor hinted today that there might be a motive in the case. We haven't heard one at all. It's the first we've heard of this. Are you aware of any motive?
All that I can do is obviously I have to respect the attorney-client privilege. And so what I can discuss is what was presented in the courtroom. And unfortunately, there was no motive discussed, and people are going to have to sadly accept that.
Because obviously there's no remorse in TJ today. Over the course, since you've been his client, he's been your client, has he ever shown any remorse at all?
And again, that's something that I can't get into.
Yep. Would you ever take a case like this again? This type of case?
Well, let me say, I hope that there would, in an ideal world, I would hope that in an ideal world there would never be the need to represent such a case, but we know that's not the case. I would do it over again, and not because that I like the case. It is because it's this sort of case that needs lawyering. It's not the popular case, that always needs the lawyering. It's not the popular defendant. It's the exact opposite. Because if you allow the law and the protections under the law to erode or not to be applied to a certain individual because of the heinous nature of their crime, then those laws are going to not be in place down the road potentially when there's someone who really needs them, someone possibly who was innocent. So it's these sorts of cases that you really do need to have the lawyering on.
Ian, when you took on this case, did you ever envision it ending the way it did, with the antics in court?
Well, I don't think anyone could have anticipated what occurred today.
Mm-hmm. And what about, I guess when he flipped the bird and then, what he said verbally to that, I mean, as an attorney, how does it make you feel? I mean, sitting there, I imagine you're kind of helpless in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have a job to do. And it's a very important job if the system's to work. But every defense lawyer is a human being. Also, for me to sit here and say that I didn't have personal feelings and that I didn't feel hurt and pain for the victims, that would be absurd to say that. Of course, it was very painful to be in that courtroom today.